Coffee. It's the #1 drink in America and possibly the most misunderstood drink. Although so many people drink coffee every single day, the most common criticisms are that it's bitter, sour, unpleasant, and makes their stomach hurt. I'm here to tell you that all of that is because your coffee is bad. So how do you know if your coffee's bad, and how do you make better coffee? Today I'm going to share with you some secrets on how to make the best cup of coffee possible. And it all starts with the beans. I'll drop some. Coffee beans actually go stale within a month of being roasted. Always buy coffee that has a roast date on the bottom so you know your coffee is fresh. People say they like dark roast because they think they're saying they like strong coffee. Roast level has nothing to do with strength, but it does have to do with flavor. Low quality coffees are usually roasted much darker because it masks the imperfections of the terrible roast, while light roasts preserve the characteristics of the origin of the coffee bean. Get whatever roast level suits you, but keep that in mind when you're buying beans. You'll know you've got a good batch of beans if there's no oil and the roast level is even. Now we're gonna need a scale. Coffee's basically science, and if you're not controlling for all the variables, you're not going to understand how and why you got your result. A good rule of thumb for drip coffee is a 1:16 brew ratio, meaning for every gram of coffee you put in 16 grams of water. Today I want 400 grams of coffee, so I'm going to use 25 grams of beans. If possible, you should always use whole bean coffee, because like I said, coffee can go stale really fast, and all pre-ground coffee will always be very stale. That being said, if you don't have a good enough grinder, it might not be worth it. Those little blade grinders at the store for $15 are basically glorified spice grinders, and they do such a bad job at chopping up the beans. I have a conical burr grinder. This one's really pricey, but you can get a good one for $60. There are so many different ways to make coffee, but today I'm gonna do a pour over, which is basically just a better drip brewer. Okay, next up, distilled water. Do not use it. So many people use distilled water when they make coffee. I don't have time to explain right now, but distilled water is the worst thing you can do for your coffee. You can use filtered tap water, and that'll probably be okay, but for the absolute best cup of coffee possible, you're gonna wanna use third wave water. You add it to distilled water to get the right mixture to perfectly extract the beans. Just give it a really good shake and you're good to go. Oh yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have some paper ASMR. It's just gonna make some really nice crinkles and just the sounds of the folds flapping against each other. Oh yeah, that's just, oh. Alright, let's just pop that in there and just, oh yeah, that's good. Sorry, I got distracted. What? Alright, so now we're ready to put our coffee. No! What? You have to wet the filter first. If you're using a paper filter and you don't wash it out beforehand, that paper taste will end up in your coffee. So it's always good to give it a good thorough rinse beforehand. Just slosh that all around there. Yep. Perfect. Now we can put our beans in and we're ready to go. Start the brew by pouring in just enough water to get all of the beans wet and then waiting for about 30 seconds. This is called the bloom and allows gases that are trapped in the beans to get released. See all those little bubbles? Okay, after 30 seconds, you're gonna wanna start pouring in all of your water. The goal is to have most of your water in by about 2 minutes. The overall brew time should be maybe 3 minutes or so. It kind of depends on the size. Try to pour evenly and slowly as possible, and at the end you can give it a little swirl, and you know you've done a good job if at the end of the brew there's a nice flat bed of coffee. If your coffee tastes bitter, it's probably over-extracted. If your coffee tastes sour, it's under-extracted. You can adjust your brew time accordingly. If it's too weak, use more beans. If it's too strong, use less beans. And if you don't like the flavor, try a different roast entirely. There are like bajillions of different ways that coffee can taste. And there you go. One absolutely delicious cup of coffee. Cheers.